offer you?
Sure. Why not? Should we have done that before we fired each other's guns?
Probably. All right, that's about it. Hey everybody, Target Pistol Guy. Thank you so much for visiting. Today we have something very special for you. If you haven't yet, before we get started, hit the subscribe button. I'd really appreciate that. But I'm going to start a new segment called 25 Questions for a Bullseye Shooter. And today I have my first guinea pig, Dave Forman. Just say hey to everybody.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Dave is the owner, co-owner of One Line Coffee. It's fantastic. If you're looking for coffee, there'll be a link provided in the description. You get the
shirt,
best coffee in the world, or the shirt, or even a fancy, oddly shaped mug. And actually, Dave, I was thinking about this earlier today. We've known each other for 20 years.
Really? That long?
Yeah.
Does that mean that we were in college 20 years ago?
It does.
That's scary.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, 1999, maybe
99.
2000, we met each other.
Yeah.
And it just so happened, sort of independently, we both got into bullseye shooting.
Yeah.
And we live in the same location, so it means our paths cross frequently. All right, so these are bullseye. Do you know these questions yet?
No, I've not seen these questions. This is going to be totally honest.
All right, question number one. How long have you been shooting bullseye?
Good question. So I started actually shooting bullseye probably maybe 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I'm a runner. I broke my foot and I couldn't run, and I was going stir crazy, and I'd always wanted to try shooting, and I knew absolutely nothing about it. I didn't grow up in a household with guns or anything. Sorry if I'm answering any questions.
No, you're not.
Oh, great.
No, you're not.
But I wanted to try it. I knew there was a range in New Albany, so I bought a Ruger Mark III 2245 polymer frame from Vance's Shooting Supplies on Cleveland Avenue.
It's a fantastic place.
And then spent 3 times as much as the gun cost to put everything on it.
Volquartz and trigger.
All the normal stuff. But yeah, I actually, when I started running again, I kind of took a break, and I really didn't pick it up till about maybe 3 years ago. So
Okay.
3 years ago, I started shooting regularly and consistently, and I guess competitively, although I wouldn't call myself super competitive yet.
How would you describe yourself? This is not one of the questions, but how would you describe yourself as
a bullseye shooter?
Like an amateur shooter?
Oh, an amateur shooter who
Hobbyist?
works hard, who works really hard for far too few points as I should be getting. How about that?
That's good. All right, where did you start shooting?
New Albany, Aim High.
Yep.
So that was my first place.
That's where I started too. That was actually, and that was a good little spot. You had Dane and Doug and Paulie, and I mean that was kind of like a cool little.
Well, the funny thing is, when I shot there 10 years ago, I actually shot Bullseye League for a couple seasons, and but like honestly, I have a terrible long-term memory. I don't even remember who's there.
Oh,
like,
really?
the only people, like, I'm sure I probably shot with the same people that I do now.
Yeah.
But like I don't ever remember meeting them back then. I'm sure they don't remember me.
Right. What drew you to it? So you kind of alluded to like why you said you'd always wanted to shoot. So why did you want to shoot?
I think I always wanted to shoot. I have an affinity for mechanical things. I like to understand how things work, and I like to make things better.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I've always kind of been naturally drawn to firearms.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason behind that is it's one of those few things that are very mechanical in nature, right? There's not really, outside of a few, I suppose, any electronic components to them.
Yeah.
It's just it's machining and it's design, and I think that's part of what kind of drew me to it. The other part of it is I grew up in a household where we didn't have guns. I never hunted, never shot. My parents didn't really like guns. I think they still don't like the fact that I compete or own firearms. I'm glad I did, because I don't think when I started I had an appreciation for kind of the amount of I don't know, personal development that you undergo when you seriously take up something like Bullseye.
Okay. You answered my fourth question, which was what was your first target pistol. So what was your second target pistol?
So my second target pistol was actually purchased from you.
Oh, really?
So my second target pistol was I believe it's a 1971 Colt Gold Cup.
Oh, yeah.
That you sold to me, that you told me I was not ever allowed to resell unless I gave you the opportunity to buy it.
Yeah, I missed that gun. That was a good gun.
Still have it.
The bluing is nice.
Bluing's super nice.
Yeah. The only
Triggered by Doug Hall.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like about it is it has that Eliason rear sight, and that cross pin shears off all the time. I had that thing.
I told you that it broke during the 2700 in
And that's
August,
amazing because for me it broke during the President's 100. So let's never use that gun again.
Yeah.
Keep that gun. Maybe I don't want that gun. All right. So what is an early memory that you have of Bullseye?
Tell you one early memory that I have, which was not the first time around, but kind of the second go around, is I was shooting a league down in Advance in Obetz.
Uh-huh.
And I remember I was shooting my Ruger at that point, and I had sent my Ruger out to have a trigger job by John Hewlett out in California. And so a guy that I'd been shooting with said, "Hey, I'll bring a pistol for you to shoot." And I get there, and he hands me a Pardini SP.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, this is pretty cool, right?
Yeah, it looks
and,
like RoboCop stuff.
Yeah. And I remember I was not a great shooter at that point. I was probably, I would have been happy to hit 500.
Yeah.
Like I was shooting maybe like 480, 490 on a 600. I remember I picked up that Pardini and I shot like a 545.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like PR by, personal best by like 50 points.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember picking up that gun and being like, so you can buy points. But of course, what I've eventually, did I answer another question?
That was the last question. Can one buy points?
So let's just, the 25th question. Can one buy points?
Not really. Not long.
You just said you could.
So you have to understand why that point value jumped up, right?
Right.
It's because all of a sudden you've got this awesome pistol and you're confident,
Yeah.
right? And when you have a new pistol, you're so concerned about how you're doing that you tend to focus on the fundamentals much harder than you normally do.
Yeah.
So yeah, can you buy points for maybe a match or two, a practice session or two?
Right.
Then I feel like your average goes right back down. Like at the end of the day, there's no replacement for fundamentals, as you know.
What is your current classifications and distinguished status?
Oh, sharpshooter.
Yep. NRA or CMP or both?
Both.
Okay.
Sharpshooter only because I've been a sharpshooter for like a year.
There's nothing wrong with being a sharpshooter.
There's nothing wrong with being a sharpshooter.
You shoot sharp. What's wrong with that? That's awesome.
My struggle is having my scores translate from practice to matches.
Yeah.
And
Classic. The classic.
Obviously,
Yeah.
right? Everybody has that problem. For me, I feel like that's what I'm working on right now.
Okay.
That's one of my big focuses of the last few months, and I don't want to jinx myself, but I feel like I'm primed for a breakthrough. So
Yeah, I think you are too.
I'm getting there.
Do you think it's mental?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Distinguished points? I know you got a
I've got some in DR, and I think I've got some in 22 now.
Do you have any leg service pistol?
No, 22 AC. Oh, no, I'm sorry, just. No,
Which
unfortunately,
one of those three badges, which one do you want the most?
honestly, I like service pistol the most.
Really?
Yeah, because I feel like that's the hardest one to get, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That's because, I feel like that's the one that takes the most fundamentals. For me, the most fun one is DR.
For
Like,
sure.
I love distinguished revolver.
Yeah.
I love shooting my revolver.
Yeah.
It's the most fun thing in the world.
Nice. What aspect of your bullseye shooting are you best at? Meaning that if someone were to say, Dave Forman within the realm of his bullseye shooting is really good at.
I feel like I recover really well between shots, especially in sustained fire. I think that's one.
You mean like in between shots?
In between shots.
Like you can get
sustained.
back on the
Back on
ball
target quickly.
Okay.
I feel like I'm very consistent in the way that I stand and the way that I grip, which I think is very helpful.
So what aspect of your bullseye shooting are you worst at?
Oh, damn. What am I worst at? Having a consistent mental shot process.
Yeah.
Right, so like a lot of people talk about shot process from the physical standpoint, right? So here's what I do, and it could be a very long process, right? And you repeat that, you do that every time, but a lot of people don't, in their shot process, write down what are you thinking about at each step in the shot process? Where's your focus? What's going through your head? And how are you controlling that to make sure that mentally you're going through that process the same every time? I think that's where I need to improve.
Center hold or 6 o'clock?
Sub 6,
For everything?
everything.
Okay. Dots or irons?
Go back and forth. I like both. Depends on what I'm shooting more. I'm shooting a lot of air pistol right now, so I love irons. I took all the dots off all of my guns.
Okay. How do you orient your feet in relation to the target? Are you completely 90 degrees, or do you do like the old man arthritis blade? You know.
I'm full blade to the target every time.
You're full blade.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm fully 100%. You know.
What is the next target pistol that you want to buy? It's a fun question.
So I'm waiting on a 1911 right now, which I've been waiting on for a little while. which I'm very excited to get, but it's still no word on when that's coming.
Okay.
But realistically,
1911, you said?
1911. From John Hewlett. John, if you're watching this, I'd love to have that soon. Pardini GT45.
Really? Wow, I wasn't expecting that one. Why?
I wouldn't look. So I'm not convinced that it's like the gun that I will end up using for 2700s necessarily, but the appeal of a true two-stage target trigger
Triggers are
in
amazing.
a 45,
Yeah.
it just sounds like it would be fun.
Can you mount a dot to that? Frame mount?
Yeah. No, slide mount.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah. What is your favorite target pistol?
That I own right now?
Sure.
It's gotta be my match guns. MG2, as frustrating as it is.
So like if your house was on fire, the one
Which
gun
one
you're
I'd
going to
run in and
grab
go?
is your match guns.
Probably.
Okay.
And it's so weird. Like that gun is, I've had tons of reliability issues that I'm still working through, and I'm slowly kind of getting them worked out. But
It
for
looks like a
some
spider.
reason-
Every time I see it, it looks like you're shooting an insect.
But I mean, it's one of those pistols where it's just, when it works, it's so much fun to shoot.
Yeah.
So much fun to shoot. That trigger is just, it's the best powder burning trigger I've ever shot.
What is your favorite caliber?
38 special.
I knew you were going to say
I knew you knew I was gonna say that.
When I was writing these questions today, I was like answering them for you in my head, and I was like, I'll bet he said 38 special.
I love that. I love.
Why do you like 38 special so much?
I like 38 special for two reasons. Number one is I like just the way it recoils.
Yeah.
You know, it's just it's this kind of push, and it's fun, but it's, I don't know, a little more challenging than maybe a 22. The other thing is I love the idea or concept of a full wad cutter bullet.
Yeah.
Like
I do
for
too.
me, just because you don't see them anywhere else. Nobody
There's
else
something
shoots
mean
those.
about it. It's like you're shooting
Yeah.
you're shooting little soup cans.
Yeah,
Like-
exactly. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the gun that you have that's like a Smith that shoots?
Oh, 52? Oh,
Yeah.
52.
That thing's amazing.
I love that gun.
That trigger's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. If your house was burning and on fire, that's the first gun I would grab.
I might shoot that indoors this year. Let's
Yeah.
see.
All right. What is your most cherished memory of bullseye shooting?
Hey, this is gonna sound like cheating maybe, but like getting out for a 2700. Like my favorite part of that is when you get there first thing in the morning and you set everything up and you just start talking to people because everybody's excited, everybody's happy to be there, and everybody's in such a great mood, and it's just like the day is full of possibilities and nothing's set in stone, and you know your possibilities are endless.
It's a good answer. Slow fire, time fire, or rapid fire?
So like, I like slow fire the best. Slow fire is my favorite. Do I shoot it the best? Probably not.
It's the hardest.
It's the hardest.
Yeah.
I think I probably shoot best in time fire, which I think probably every bullseye shooter will tell you that.
Yeah, it's because you have enough time to shoot, but not enough time to think.
Yeah.
Whereas slow fire, you have enough time to shoot and too much time to think.
Yes.
And then rapid fire, you don't have enough time to shoot
Or think.
or think. So that's why early shooters are really good at rapid because they're just like, ah.
Yep. Exactly.
It can shut their brain off in rapid. All right. What's your favorite match of the year, or a match that you're looking forward to?
Get back to Camp Perry.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody's gonna say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I missed it this year. 2 years ago was the first time I went, and I had such a great experience. And I was so looking forward to it this year again. My whole family goes up, so we spend a week there.
Yeah.
And
Book your Airbnbs now.
I know, right? Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun to get out there and shoot on that range. Just experience that one more time.
What? No, you didn't answer this question. How much money? This is not one of the questions. How much money did you spend on commercial road the first time at Camp Perry?
Hold on, I'm trying to think.
That's a dangerous question.
I think I got out of there. I only ended up spending maybe $300 or $400.
Okay,
That
that's
wasn't
pretty
too
good.
bad. Yeah, no, it was pretty good.
That's pretty good. What is your favorite range?
I mean, it's got to be Cardinal.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I'm a homer, but I mean
It's a great
like
range.
that range. It's fun.
Yeah.
It's also fun because when you shoot that range regularly, and people come in that aren't used to that wind, it's fun to.
I've had it up there worse than Camp Perry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a windy place
Yeah.
to shoot. And that's Cardinal Shooting Center in Marengo, Ohio, for those who don't know. Part of the Triple Crown. All right. Who are your Bullseye mentors? Or whom? I think we know one of them.
Well, Jim Henderson's helps, and he does a lot of great things there. In some ways, John Hewlett too has helped me with some of the things that he said. You know, John's helped me with a little bit of some gunsmithing work on my own in terms of some 1911 builds that I've done. And so he's been able to kind of drop little snippets here and there for me, which has been great. And to be honest, you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways because
That's so sweet.
I mean, being able to just bounce ideas off and kind of just the little things, being able to kind of go back and forth. Recently, obviously, we've been talking mostly about air pistol and stuff like that, but like, you know, just having somebody to talk to. You know, I mean, like, for the most part, the people that we shoot with are not living in cities,
Right.
You know, like
Yeah.
most of the people are out, you know, out into the suburbs, exurbs, and stuff like that. So
Half the shooters I know can shoot out back their house.
yeah, right. I live in Worthington.
Yeah, I shoot in my basement. You know,
Exactly.
I shoot across my kids' dirty laundry.
Yeah. Yeah.
What single thing that you have changed or done or started doing do you feel improved your shooting the most?
Taking the mental side of it a lot more seriously. No stinking thinking.
Yeah.
It took me 3 years to actually understand what that kind of meant and to actually decide that I really wanted to try to embrace that.
Okay.
And that's actually one of the reasons why I kind of feel like I'm primed for a breakthrough, is I've seen my scores in practice go up pretty significantly over the last 2
Your
months
air
or
pistol
so.
scores right now are blisteringly good.
They're getting there.
They're in like 95,
They're getting there.
96.
They're getting there.
Consistent.
But I mean, that's it. It's all that mental game, and it's, you know, basically shutting down that noisy mind.
Yeah. What advice would you give a new shooter who wanted to get serious? So not someone who's just thinking about doing Bullseye, but somebody who maybe has toyed around with it. Maybe they're the only gun they own is a Mark III, and they want to turn it into a passion. What advice would you give them?
Set your priorities. You know, in this day and age, between work and family and everything else, like, we all have limited amounts of free time.
Yeah.
And I mean, realistically, and most people probably don't want to hear this, but if you want to get better at bullseye shooting, it's like anything else. You know, like, I've done some pretty serious running in the past, not that I was ever elite or anything like that, but like, you know, you want to run a fast marathon time, you're running 10, 12, 14 hours a week.
Yeah.
In bullseye, you want to be a good bullseye shooter, you should be training 10, 12, 14 hours a week. I mean, you should be doing that. Like, I know right now I'm serious about air pistol, and so I'm downstairs in my basement. I wake up at 5 o'clock every morning. I go down there and I spend an hour to an hour and a half shooting or doing drills or training.
An hour and a half a day, daily, every day. Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's, you know, you should, first and foremost, don't lose sight of the fact that shooting's fun, right? We enjoy it, it's very fun to do, but like, really, like, if you want to get better at it,
It's not always fun.
you gotta work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit with like the idea of the boredom of mastery. That, I mean, if you really, really want to get good, you're gonna be pulling triggers.
Yep.
Until it's second nature.
Yeah. And also, don't find somebody to help you.
All right.
Don't try to do it on your own.
Yeah, you need a friend. You need a target pistol pal, guys. All right. What are your top 3? Just real quick, top 3 favorite things about bullseye shooting.
Kind of the meditation side, the fact that it forces you to block everything out. Second would be, it's just fun to shoot a gun.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. Shooting guns is like the best.
Third is
Best.
it's that sense of accomplishment too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, you know, not to sound conceited because it's a different style of shooting, but like, you know, I shoot my home range for indoors LEPD over on Bethel Road, and like, I walk in there and I know I cannot shoot anybody else that walks into there. I mean, I'm not a combat shooter. You know, you throw a Glock in my hand and I'll get them all on the paper, but I'm not going to be able to do like what a lot of those people can do. But you put a target out there at 75 feet and I'm going to hit it.
So where do you want to take your bullseye shooting next? That's a odd way for me to ask you what your goals are, but we don't talk about goals here. So where do you want to take your
process focused? My goal is where I want to take it is I want to. execute my shot process to the best of my
That's
ability.
how you're gonna get
No,
there. Yeah. What like?
Nah, I mean, like, it's a competitive thing, right? Like, so for me, part of bullseye shooting and part of the reason why I also really love it is I love the competitive nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about competing with other people, although that's part of it, but it's also about competing with yourself and getting better. Like, I just want to get better as a bullseye shooter. Like,
Yeah.
overarching goal, yeah, I want to be a high master, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, I want to be on the President's 100. I want to be one of the, you know, I want to win Camp Perry.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's a goal, right? And sometimes, depending upon
Everybody
where
who goes
you're
there
at,
wants to do
yeah,
that. Yeah.
depending upon where you're at, it sounds like a ridiculous goal, but it's still, you know, you gotta aim high,
Yeah.
right? And if you're willing to put into the work, why can't it happen?
All right. You already answered both 24 and 25,
Oh,
which is what does your current training plan look like? Which is
turn left,
basement, air pistol, hour and a
basement
half.
air pistol, and then still probably 2 or 3 times at the range too.
Yeah.
A week.
A week.
Yeah.
And then just for everybody who's sticking around, the most important: can one buy points?
You can temporarily buy points.
You can temporarily. You can rent
But I
points.
mean, I'll say that you can rent points. There you go. No, but I mean, you also, I think, you know, if you're 40 years old and financially in a good place and you're starting bullseye shooting, don't go buy a Mark III. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, buy something that's going to last you for a long time, because having a consistent trigger, having a gun that you can trust is going to help you build those fundamentals faster.
Nice.
You know, like, so like when I, you know, 10 years ago, I was still trying to build my business and I didn't have a lot of money. So for me, you know, the idea of spending $2,000 on a pistol was just like, I didn't get that people even did that.
Yeah.
You know, $300 for my Mark III, I was thinking like, man, it's a big purchase. And for some people that might still be, you know,
Yeah.
I'm like not looking down on anybody, but financially speaking, if you can afford it, you know, and you really want to get into bullseye, then yeah, I mean, go out and buy a Pardini, buy match guns, buy, you know, a Walther or whatever floats your boat, have a Smith build you a really good conversion, and then invest in a good 45 watt gun, you know, and just be done with it. And then just shoot those 2 pistols, and
Yeah.
it's the fastest way to develop.
No, it won't stop there. You'll buy other guns.
It won't stop there.
Because it's an addiction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dave, thanks so much for coming out and having questions.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming to
Appreciate
my garage. Click below. We're going to have more of these interviews, and thanks so much for visiting. Stay safe. God bless.
Yeah, it went.
I mean, I hit the
Probably off
target.
the leg of the